Well, we're really having technical problems this morning, and once again, sometimes it's our fault, and sometimes it's somebody else's fault. I don't think it's our fault this morning. We've been pushing all the right buttons, and none of the things have been reacting the way that they should. Anyway, we got me back on. Ha! Don't say thank you to that necessarily. Now, it was announced yesterday, and I haven't confirmed this, but I'm sure that it came from a reliable source. That we're entering bonfire season, and this Saturday, of course, is November the 4th, when we actually would have had bonfire celebrations because we can't have them on a Sunday, or don't have them on a Sunday, which is November the 5th. But the Cliff, one of the most senior of the bonfire societies, has apparently said, look, the weather is so bad, it would be dangerous for us to try to put on the displays that we do in such an environment. And so what we'll do is we will put it off and postponed it. There will not be Cliff bonfire celebrations. Now, the rest, as far as I'm aware, have not made any statement yet. I guess that they're all getting into enclaves to decide whether, in fact, they're going to follow suit. But it wouldn't surprise me because if we got the raging storms at 80 miles an hour, God only knows where some of the rockets would go, and we could actually set Lewis on fire. But I have here a clip from the Neville juveniles. I think they're called. They call them still Neville juveniles, or Neville anyway, and they are. They do a pretty fair show. So let's just take a look at that, just to get in the mood, even if we're not going to have the day.
Get my ears in.
Let's go. There you go. Up it goes. In, kick.
Yeah. From time to time, we try to do things with the United States. For various reasons, not least of which is the very strong relationship which this town has with that immense country through Tom Paine. And also, you find names of towns: Wilmington, Lewis, New Haven, even Seaford, scattered around, particularly New England and the southeastern part of the United States. And that's because of the very large emigration effect program, I suppose, that took place in the 1700s and the 1800s, when the first probes were really going into the New World, and we were starting to develop sophisticated colonies, which later decided to break away, of course. But we, and I often quote this, in fact, I think I've quoted it twice or three times already this week. As Winston Churchill said, two great nations separated by a common language. In other words, we speak the same language, but it doesn't mean the same thing. We speak the same language, but we are very different people in many ways. Well, we had a very good interview with the mayor of Lewis, Delaware, a little while ago, but now we got to, I'm going to replay an interview we had, at least I hope I'm going to, with Mayor Cisco, which she is the mayor of a little town in New York State, but is very, very progressive when it comes to the democratic process, and I may say very successful. So I hope that I'm going to be able to play this, because I was very impressed with this lady. I really was. And I think that the more that we can find out what goes on in the States and learn from them, well, that matter, they learn from us. So let's see whether we can join Mayor Kisco. Let's see whether this is the right one. Now, this should be any luck at all. Well, what I've got here is I got the promotion for it, but I haven't actually got the program. And the ghost is here again. I'm having a marvelous time with this ghost. It knows that we're leaving. It knows that this hotel is in a state of flux at the moment, and it's really quite upset it. He's footling around. He or she is footling around at the back. Absolutely nobody there at all. Nobody there at all. Right. Are you there, ghost? No, you see? But the footsteps are there. It's sending a little trill up my back, I have to say. I'm not used to having a ghost tramping behind me. Not used to it at all. Oh, well, I said we were going to the States. I'll tell you what. One of the former presenters, who may do a little bit more before he goes off to join the American Marines, is Connor Winton, the son of our correspondent who appears, Melissa Winton, appears every Friday. And Connor is a man of many parts. He's a young man. Right now, he's reporting for NHK. That may not mean much to many of you, but NHK is the Japanese equivalent of the BBC, and he is their North American correspondent and doing a wonderful job. But it's because he's putting in time until next month. He goes and joins the Marines to fly faster than sound aircraft. But this was he actually Thanksgiving is coming up at the end of this month, the end of November in the United States. And Thanksgiving, of course, is when the Pilgrim Fathers gave thanks to, well, of course, the Americans are very religious and were in those days, as indeed everybody was in those days. They gave thanks for all the good, bountiful things that the new land, the American colony, had provided. And the one thing that it provided that was completely new to them, because we never had it before, you never got it in this country at that particular stage, was turkey. So everybody makes turkey on Thanksgiving. Huge turkeys and huge feasts. Not Connor. No, he does, but he doesn't do it in the traditional way. Let's have a look and a go with him, shall we? Well, there's nothing more than I like in a bit of turkey. And the Americans celebrate, and it's a big celebration, Thanksgiving on the 25th of November. And that's coming up. We're playing this a day ahead, but everybody will be enjoying themselves tomorrow. And it's a public holiday and lots of feasting and drinking. And of course, it's all to do with when they actually harvested in the times of the Pilgrim Fathers, who were saying thank you to God for all the bountiful things that seem to be there, including turkey. But not everybody in the United States now celebrates with turkey. In fact, our man Connor Winton, who is a correspondent in New York, or one of our correspondents, has his own idea about what makes a good Thanksgiving, and it's nothing to do with turkey. So let's take a look.
Hi, I'm Connor, and I'm coming to you from New York, USA, here to teach you about some American Thanksgiving classics, green bean casserole and stuffing. Alright, so now we're going to be making some green bean casserole, another Thanksgiving classic. Right here, we got ourselves some nice parboiled green beans and a little bit of salted water, right? And classic what goes with this green bean casserole is a cream of mushroom soup. We got our quarter mushrooms out here alongside some butter and some garlic. Alright, so as the mushrooms are frying up here, nice and good, we're going to add a little bit of flour to that, but while we're doing that, we're going to be frying up some onions to put on top. These are a little deep frying, a little bit of oil. Give it 5-10 minutes, and nice and golden brown, I'll put them on top. Alright, so we put some flour into the mushrooms here. See, all-purpose flour here. Combine a little bit of fond, a little bit of stuff on the bottom. And what we're doing here is we're essentially making a roux. You know, the roux is a combination of fat and flour. It's going to thicken up our soup sort of nice and well. So I'm going to glaze with a little bit of red wine vinegar, just to give it a little bit of bite. Don't want it to be too flat.
Down he goes. Stop pacing around like that.
And of course we're going to add in our vegetable stock, because we're making this in the vegetarian way. Sure, the heat comes up. So add a little bit at a time here. See, it's turning nice and deliciously thick and tasty. We've got the flour in there. And now we're going to add our half and half. Alright, so we're going to add a bay leaf or a bay laurel here. And a little bit of freshly grated nutmeg. You really got to use the stuff that's fresh grated. I know it's a fad. I know people are saying whatever about it, but please, it's so much better. cream mushroom soup. We're going to put this right over our delicious green beans. Nice and healthy. We're just going to mix that right on up. We got all that wonderful sauce. A little low here. Mix that up. Give that a thorough mixing. Give that a thorough mixing. Thorough is how Americans say thorough. Some Americans. You're like. Alright, so we got our fried onions, and we're just going to put those right on top there. That nice and brown and golden. Wonderful flavors. This is really like a key element of Thanksgiving for a lot of folks. You know, this is the it sort of steals the show a lot of times. Having this as a kid, that's the best part of it. There's the little onions on top, sold it pretty special. All the onions on top. Go. Alright, so we got our lovely green bean casserole right here. We're just gonna let this cool down until it's at a nice serving temperature. Well, I hope you've enjoyed these recipes. As you can see, we have a wonderful green bean casserole and delicious stuffing.
Looks great, Connor, and thanks. And I join you for Thanksgiving this year for having a bit of turkey. I'm so traditional.
Well, Turkey at the end of this month. The Canadians also celebrate Thanksgiving. It's on a different date. I've got a feeling that it's closer to our Harvest Festival, which comes up. Or is Harvest Festival already gone? I think it may already have gone. Here we are gathering in. It seems to me as the it's the hymn that we sing on that. Here we are gathering in. Now, shall we consider? Let's continue with that theme, because here's a little tongue in cheek.
Food tip of the week. Hot buttered toast. Have we forgotten how wonderful, simple, hot buttered toast can be? Ingredients simple. Bread and butter. Hot buttered toast. Mirador's food tip of the week. Try it.
Hot buttered toast, it's nothing like it, and we just don't follow some of these. We got so fancy with the food that we eat today. I'm rather pleased when I get something that's down to earth and straightforward. I think that sometimes the taste and measures have had to give way to making things look bloody pretty with bits of cucumber and bits of lettuce and bits of this and bits of that. If I want a flower show, I'll go to a flower show. I want a food show, I'll go to a food show. When I go to a restaurant, I want to eat. Now, let's we'll stay with food and drink. I think this one's with Lala Daniels. who's a charming girl. I actually sat with her for 5 minutes the other day and had a chat because we're good friends. And she is really quite a remarkable broadcaster. But, you know, it is what I admire about a lot of people who get the chance to be seen and to make a contribution here, is that they also feel that they've got to make other contributions to society. And Lalada looks after an old folks' home and is the mentor to a man with. It's wrong to say he's got mental problems. He's just stressed, and she helps calm him down and so on. But she's also a connoisseur of wine and food, and here she is taking us through the vineyards and a couple of restaurants. And he said, "Oh, there we go."
English sparkling wines are beginning to win an enviable reputation across the globe, and that reputation is turning into sales. British supermarket chain Waitrose has reported a 188% increase in sales of English sparkling wine last year, and that trend is expected to continue. The soil and climatic conditions in southern England are remarkably similar to those of the Champagne region in France. So much so that leading French champagne house Taittinger has bought land in Kent and has begun producing English sparkling wine. But the owners of English vineyards are not prepared to take second place. Ridgeview Estate Wines in Ditchling has been producing English sparkling wine since 1994. And recently, the company received the prestigious accolade of having its wine served by the Queen to Chinese Premier Xi Jinping at a state dinner. Ridgeview is a family business which has a strong sense of history when it comes to its products. The vineyard's trademark is Merit, named in honour of Englishman Christopher Merritt. This wine pioneer made a presentation to the Royal Society in London in 1662, explaining the process of making sparkling wines. That was 30 years before the French began producing champagne. Last year, Ridgeview produced a bumper crop and has similar ambitions for this year. The product can be seen at a variety of produce events in the region, notably Brighton and Hove's Food and Drink Fair in May. And the winemaker plans to repeat the success of last year when it introduced its range of sparkling wines to New Yorkers. Want to check out the claims that Ridgeview makes? There are plenty of stockists within the Lewes district. As one might suspect, it's available at Harvey's, but also Larder in Ditchling, Middle Farm on the road to Eastbourne, and of course the English Wine Centre at Drusilla's Roundabout. These successes have created a rush to develop new vineyards in Sussex. Licence applications last year were up by 40%. It's not just sparkling wines that are gaining a reputation. Still wines have also been around a long time. Both are now beginning to take the French market by storm, as demonstrated by the French purchase of acreage in Kent. The key question now is if growth will mean a larger and more expansive English wine industry, or a homegrown luxury product suitable for big and glittering occasions. For the moment, only time will tell. Trevor, where's my drink? Lalada Daniels of South Downs Television at Ridgeview Vineyards, tasting a true competitor of French champagne. So next up on Food Glorious Food, a new way to sell wines in Lewes. Symposium has a friendly, laid-back atmosphere with staff who clearly have a passion for wine. Symposium has a limited range of Sussex wines, but what they have is top drawer, and its range of quality grape types is within most budgets. Whether it's the cheese and meat platter, a single malt scotch, crunchy local bread or a glass or two of decent claret, this wine bar has found a unique way to sell its wines. And in today's world of big is better, the Symposium has found its niche. It was Trove Tuesday this week, in other words, Pancake Day. So perhaps it's time for a taste of homemade pancakes you can serve up yourself. Back at the vineyard and feeling a bit peckish. As Omar Khayyam said, a jug of wine, a loaf of bread. Well, we've looked at the jug of wine. Now for the loaf of bread. Most bread in modern times is mass-produced in big bakeries. But there's one Lewes outfit that is bucking the trend. The Flint Alb Bakery on School Hill bakes its own bread and sells it in its own cafe and on a market stall in the farmers' market. The bakery started small, but now delivers its loaves to dozens of restaurants and shops across East Sussex. Flint Owl's sourdough bread is made to a special recipe. The flour is ground by millers who employ traditional stone grinding methods that help to retain the flour's minerals and vitamins. Then the bakers add sea salt and water from the nearby Glynde Spring. No yeast, no additives or preservatives. This bread is as natural as you can get, giving it a much longer shelf life. Flint Owl Bakery, another gem in the South Downs food sector crown. A quick run through the various food and market events that take place across the district. Each Tuesday, there's a market from 9 to 1 in Paradise Park in Newhaven. Also on a Tuesday, there's a market in Lewes Town Hall from 9:30 to 1 o'clock. Tuesday to Saturday, there are multi-stall markets in Newhaven. A local produce market in St Thomas's Church Hall in Cliff takes place on Friday. And of course, the major farmers market in Lewes Precinct the first and third Saturday each month. That kicks off at 9 in the morning and goes on to 1 in the afternoon. That's it from Food Glorious Food this week, which came from Ditchling and Ridgeview Vineyards. Ladders Daniels of South Downs Television. Chin chin.
Well, that got my taste buds going. Of course, that was a program that was done a little while ago. But our wine industry has gone from strength to strength, and we now have a number of very successful and substantial vineyards. I think that is Ridgeview. I think it's Chapel Down that is near to Rodmell. And I suppose that to go with those delightful scenes of vineyards and grapes and sparkling wine, some of our villages are just as pretty and fit in with that sort of environment. And I'm just because we actually took a tanking in the cricket, I was just mulling over as I was watching that the vineyard near to Rodmell is in keeping with English traditions, because most people are not aware that a very famous cricket match takes place there each year, and it is the Rodmell Cricket Club, very healthy little cricket club in the village, who play what are known as either the Invalids or Invalids, whichever way you want to pronounce it. And the Invalids are a team from London, made up of various drunken journalists and brokers and so on and so forth. And it has been in existence for well over 100 years. In fact, more than 100 years. It is made famous by an author called A.E. MacDonald, and he writes a book called England, Their England. As you can guess from his name, he's a Scot. And so what he does is he gently takes the piss out of us, excuse the expression, and he writes from the view of a Scotsman about the oddities of the English, and one of those oddities, as he sees it, is the cricket match. And he goes through the way that the Invalids come together to get onto the coach to come down to what in the novel is called, I think, well, the town is Bevenden. It is a fictitious town, and they set it in Kent. But in fact, that match actually did take place, and it took place in Rodmore, in East Sussex. And McDonald, he describes how they tried to get going, and McDonald, being the stranger, the outsider, is told to turn up at one of the railway stations by 10 o'clock, which he does. And there's only one other player there, and they all come together, diving in and out of the pub until they've got all 11 players and can set off, which is about 2 hours later, and they're all full of beer and various other alcoholic beverages. And down they come to find the villagers, the village team, quite happy diving in and out of their pub, which is, I forget what it's called in the book, the Four Grapes or something of the sort. But in fact, it is the Abergavenny Arms in Rodmore. And the match, it takes place, and he describes how the motley crew and a village team, and set in 1923, get along playing together. And there are some lovely little vignettes. For instance, the fast bowler is the blacksmith, and it describes how, because there is a slight curve in the pitch, the blacksmith disappears and then suddenly comes pounding over the hill to launch the ball at the poor unsuspecting team from London, because they are not really cricketers. They like to play cricket because Englishmen like to play cricket, and they are well on the way anyway, having imbibed on the way down. And amongst the crew is an American who has never played cricket before. And he watches the ball come towards him, hits it, and throws down the bat and runs to square leg. For those who aren't cricket-wise, square leg is to right angles of the wicket, whereas to score a run, you run straight down the pitch. And he does that, of course, because the only game that he's played with the ball is baseball, and that's what they do. They hit the ball, throw the bat down, and then take off into the first side of a diamond pattern. And he then describes the various individuals who come in and go out and play the game. Just one particular instance in the match is when the visiting team are fielding, and the village top batsman whacks the ball towards one of the players, who instinctively puts his hands out and takes the ball more or less in his stomach, but grabs it. So he's caught it, and the batsman is out. And everybody races over to congratulate this man, and holding a difficult catch and so on. So, which he throws the ball to the ground. His hands are stinging, and he's doing this. And so, I didn't want to catch the sobbing thing in the first place. It's an old book, but it's a wonderful book. And if you can get hold of it, it's called England, Their England, A. McDonald. And that match takes place in Rodmore, at Little Village, famous also for being the home of Virginia Woolf, and also the Well, I don't really want to say the graveyard, but Virginia Woolf committed suicide there. And it's appropriate that we talk about Virginia Woolf because I set foot for the first time in the old building that was Lewes District Council, which has been gifted to the Charleston Trust, the people who run the Charleston Arts Centre out in near to Firle, and the Charleston farmhouse, as it was home to Virginia Woolf in for many years, or she would go out there. It was actually, I think, by her sister-in-law, and there were rumours of naughty carryings on, as they knew how to enjoy themselves, or at least knew how to be naughty in those days. So that's how we. How little bits and pieces weave into one another in Lewes and the district. And just while we're on to Virginia Woolf, if you I think it's called Pope Passage or Pipe Passage, one of the two, off the High Street, off the Lewes High Street, the upper part, near to this hotel where we're broadcasting from, near to the courthouse. If you go along there, there is a roundhouse, and it's let's see. We can't take that in the middle of a broadcast, but we're. If you go along there, there is this roundhouse which is actually occupied with a sort of a nice little V garden, tucked away. And Virginia Woolf, there is no evidence that she ever lived in it, but she certainly owned it. She certainly purchased it. So just all from a cricket match, and I can't remember what. Oh, I know. It was the vineyard issue that started me reminiscing about the cricket and therefore Rodwell and therefore Virginia Woolf. So perhaps that little vignette will make up for the fact that we have such a lousy start, technically, to the day. We've got John Henty in about 20 minutes. I am sure that the ghost is still here. I am going to I'm going to take another break, and then we will come back with plenty of Henty, and I expect his usual pixie self with lots of fun and games, and helping us to offset the gloom outside. It is not a nice day. The storm is coming. It's going to be a pretty nasty one. It was a bit nasty this morning when I came in. Seems to have brightened up slightly now, but brace yourself. Don't be fooled. We are in for a bit of a rough, a bit of a rough time. I think I shall just float off for a few minutes, and I will be back with John very soon. So let's say, let's take the long toodle clip, shall we?